Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into the world of music streaming. We're going to ask what seems like a simple question. When you stream a song, where does the money actually go? You'd think there'd be a simple answer, but it turns out to be one of the most tangled, complicated puzzles in the music business today.
I mean, think about it. You hit play on your favorite song. A tiny, tiny fraction of a penny is generated. That little bit of money is supposed to travel from the streaming service through a couple of hands and land right in the songwriter's bank account. It sounds so clean, right? A straight line from you, the listener, to the creator. But what if it isn't simple at all?
And that's really the heart of the problem. The music industry, financially, is doing great. Streaming is generating more money than ever before. But if you talk to the people who actually write the songs, you hear a very different story. They'll tell you something is fundamentally broken. They call it the songwriter's conundrum.
Okay, get ready for this. Take a look at your screen. No, that's not a map of some distant galaxy. According to the Music Managers Forum, this is the journey your one tiny royalty payment has to take to get to just one songwriter. Every single one of those circles is a different company or society, and each chain is another transaction where someone takes a cut. Because there's no single global system, your money gets lost in this absolute maze of contracts and databases. Yeah, simple isn't exactly the word that comes to mind, is it?
So let's get into this conundrum. More streams are happening, there's more money in the pot, but less cash is making it to the creators. How is that even possible? Well, to understand the paradox, we've got to look at how the pie is sliced.
And look, this isn't just a feeling people have. It's a well-documented frustration. The Music Managers Forum, the MMF, they represent the artists, and they put it very bluntly in their guide. The math just isn't adding up for the songwriters.
Now here's where things get really weird. This slide shows the big twist. Technically, songwriters get a bigger percentage of the revenue from a single stream than they ever did from a CD sale. So, if their piece of the pie is bigger, why are they making less money? It's because the pie itself is microscopic. A bigger slice of a tiny crumb is still just a tiny crumb, especially when you compare it to the slice they got from a $10 album.
All right, to really get it, we have to follow the money. So brace yourself, because we're about to step into that royalty maze and see exactly where and why the cash just seems to disappear along the way.
Okay, first things first, you got to understand this one key thing. Every single recorded song has two different copyrights. You've got the copyright for the actual recording, they call that the master, and that's usually owned by the record label. Then you've got the copyright for the song itself, the melody, the lyrics, and that belongs to the songwriter. And from day one, the whole system was set up to pay the owner of the recording way, way more than the person who actually wrote the song.
How much more? Well, in a lot of traditional record deals, the label can take as much as 80% of all the money from the master recording right off the top. That little 20% that's left over, that has to be split between the person who sang the song and the producer. The money gets sliced razor thin before a single penny even gets set aside for the songwriter.
But even with that crazy split, the real villain here, according to the MMF, is the process itself. It's that tangled, inefficient, and super confusing web of global royalty chains that's supposed to get money from a stream in, say, Japan to a songwriter living in Memphis. In a perfect world, the path would look like this. Nice and simple. The streaming service pays one company, and that company pays the writer. It's transparent, it's efficient, and there are hardly any fees. Just a clean, direct line. But the reality, as we saw before, is this mess. A single song might have 3 or 4 writers, and they all have different publishers who all use different collection agencies in different countries. That one tiny payment for one stream gets split again and again and again, sent down all these different roads. And each road has its own fees, its own commissions, and its own delays. By the time any money actually reaches the songwriter, it can be years later and be worth way less than when it started its journey.
So the payment system is a mess. Got it. But that's only half a story. To even get a stream in the first place, people have to hear your song. And the way that happens has been completely turned on its head. We need to talk about the new gatekeepers.
For decades, the gatekeepers, the people who decided what we listened to, were human. Back in the 50s, it was all about the radio DJs. They could make or break a hit. By the 80s, it was MTV VJs who had that power. But today, the most powerful gatekeepers on the planet aren't people at all. They're algorithms.
And this shift, it comes with some major trade-offs. Sure, human curators had a personal touch, but they were also biased by their own tastes. Algorithms, on the other hand, offer incredible personalization for millions of people at once. But they also risk trapping us in these comfortable, predictable little bubbles. By just feeding us more of what we already like, they can end up starving out the new, different, or weird artists who don't neatly fit into a data point.
I mean, your Discover Weekly playlist probably feels like a friend made it just for you, right? And in a way, one did. But that friend is an algorithm. It's a new kind of gatekeeper that quietly shapes the listening habits of hundreds of millions of people, deciding which artists get the streams and which ones just get lost in the noise. It all sounds pretty bleak, doesn't it? But creators are, if nothing else, resourceful. Faced with all these challenges, artists are figuring out some really clever ways to just bypass the broken parts of the system and build their own ways of making a living.
It's all about looking for money beyond just the stream. For a lot of artists today, selling t-shirts and hoodies brings in more cash than their actual music. They're also focusing hard on sync licensing. That's just the fancy term for getting your song into a TV show, a movie, or a video game. Plus, they're building direct lines to their fans with things like virtual concerts, monthly subscriptions, and even selling digital items like NFTs that act like a golden ticket to exclusive stuff.
We're also seeing totally different ways of thinking about this around the world. The traditional Western model, it focuses on the artist as an independent musician making music. But then you look at something like the K-pop system. It's this incredibly structured machine that builds an idol who is a complete, all-around entertainer. Music is just one piece of a giant brand that includes TV hosting, acting, and massive endorsement deals. It's a totally different philosophy, where the stream is just marketing, not the main product.
So, finding workarounds is one thing. But what about actually fixing the system itself? Is there a path forward to make that royalty maze more fair and transparent for everyone? Well, according to the music managers on the front lines, the answer is yes.
And their recommendations are surprisingly simple, at least in concept. First, shine a light on the whole process. Demand that publishers and societies be transparent about the royalty chains they use and how much they're taking in fees. And second, make the data accessible. Give songwriters and their teams easy access to the global databases that list all their work so they can actually spot errors and claim the money they're owed.
And this isn't just some fringe idea from a few angry artists. The MMF represents hundreds of music managers in the UK and has a global network of thousands. We're talking about a powerful, professional voice that is demanding change from inside the industry. This is a coordinated campaign to completely rewire how music pays the people who create it. And that really leaves us with the big question for the future. As new technology like AI comes along and makes this whole maze even more complex, where should creators focus their energy? Should they fight to fix this tangled, broken system from the inside? Or should they just try to break away from it completely and build a whole new future where they finally control their own destiny? The answer to that is probably going to shape the entire next era of music.